Superior Spider-Man returns, but who is he? Because it's been a while since he's been around. Superior Spider-Man is Doc Ock in the body of Peter Parker, but trying to be a hero. In a final attempt to beat Spider-Man, Doc Ock swapped his mind with Peter so that he would be stuck in his aging and dying body. It did work. Doc Ock was now Peter Parker, but at the last second, Peter managed to make Doc Ock feel his guilt over the death of Uncle Ben, forcing him to live by the creed, with great power must also come great responsibility. The story arc lasted for about 30-something issues and ended with Peter getting his body back, but it looks like Doc Ock is beginning to realize some memories were taken from him, and he's trying to remember who and what Superior Spider-Man is. This is Comicstorian. We take comic books and break them into audio dramas so that you know what's going on in the world of comics and you know what you should be adding to your collection. If you enjoy this type of content, look for us on Spotify or check our sister channel, Comicstorian Full Story. Doc Ock moves through the night on his newly designed mechanical arms, pushing past the sign for the Atomic Research Center that lies crumpled on the floor. He knows that Spider-Man tricked him, returning him to the body that he once fled when he became Superior Spider-Man and eventually a newly cloned body, but he can't remember everything about that period. So he arrives at the old lab, a place he used to work, with memories beginning to flood through his mind. Inside of the building, he finds a massive device, something that he doesn't fully remember. "Why can't I remember all of those years ago?" he bellows. But we cut to the past, with Otto's mind being in the body of Peter Parker, the memories that he can't remember. After Otto took control, he decided that he would become the Superior Spider-Man, and now he watches over the city with slightly looser morals than the original. Crouching on a rooftop, he looks at his small army of Spider-Bots. "I'm bored. Report, all units citywide. What crisis occurred this evening?" he asks his drones. And the drones report several issues that Spider-Man allows automated services to deal with, but one shows the villain known as Slide escaping from a robbery at Alchemex. "At last, a crime worthy of my attention," Otto says. On the streets below, Slide easily evades the police while gloating about their inability to capture him, but suddenly Spider-Man is swinging down to battle him. "You want a challenge, felon? Then you shall have it, courtesy of New York's greatest hero, the Superior Spider-Man," he shouts, firing his webbing, but it does nothing to stop Slide in his frictionless suit. The villain laughs as he takes another corner without even slowing down, but Spider-Man easily follows him. "I've easily changed your course. You're slipping and sliding exactly where I wanted you to go," Otto gloats, following closely behind Slide, explaining that he isn't the Spider-Man that he's used to dealing with. "I take time to prepare," Otto shouts, and Slide looks up, realizing that Spider-Man has created a massive ramp out of his webbing. Slide hits it, flying through the air, landing with a splash in the bay. He begins to thrash and sink, but Spider-Man lands on a nearby lamppost, gloating. "Once you stop thrashing, your frictionless suit will pull you straight down. Remove the suit, Slide, and I can save you. The choice is yours." So a little while goes by and Spider-Man greets the police with a webbed-up Slide, explaining that the tritanium that he stole from Alchemex must have sunk to the bottom of the bay. "He's lying! He stole it!" Slide begins to say, but Spider-Man whirls, shooting a web over his mouth. And with this done, he leaps into the air, swinging into the night. Later, over at Horizon Labs, Otto is excited, holding up the vial of tritanium that he was trying to get a hold of. "This supply, I may finally realize my greatest scientific breakthrough," he explains to the living brain, explaining that he's trying to create a miniature star grown under laboratory conditions. But he suddenly stops to think about it. But if I perform the feat here at Horizon Labs, my employer would reap the benefits," Otto says, realizing that he must create his breakthrough elsewhere. So instead, he has the living brain move the equipment that he needs to a more private lab. But he also realizes that he's going to need help with his endeavors. "Wait, I know just the place to look," he says with a smile. So the next day, Otto heads to his day job where Peter is teaching at Empire University. There he posts for a lab assistant on a bulletin board and explains to his girlfriend, Anna Maria, that his work with Spider-Man requires a new assistant. "Maybe I should apply," Anna Maria says. But Otto waves her off, explaining that he is doing this so that they'll have more time to spend with each other. "Nice save, Parker," Anna Maria says with a smile. But another woman comes up and looks at the ad. "Did you say that Spider-Man is looking for a lab assistant? I'd kill for that job, figuratively. How do I apply?" Estella Lopez says. Otto looks her up and down and asks for her credentials. "You just did. Between your qualifications and your enthusiasm, I can guarantee you an interview," Otto says and gives her the address. That night, Estella goes to what seems like an abandoned atomic research center. Inside, she finds Spider-Man and the living brain building a strange machine. "Ah, Ms. Lopez, we've been expecting you. Please enter and welcome to the future," Spider-Man says, explaining that he has decided to hire her, since she is the only one who actually decided to enter the building. "Now come, let us challenge the forces of creation itself and wrestle them into submission," Spider-Man says. So weeks pass, the two working together trying to put Otto's plan into practice. But nothing seems to be working. So Estella points out that they may need some extra hands, which leads Otto into hiring more goons, giving them costumes and beginning to call them his Spiderlings. Estella doesn't seem to think that this is the best of ideas though, and she seems less than happy that she's been given her own evil goon costume. Now aided by his army of Spiderlings, Otto attacks AIM, knowing that they have the equipment that he needs for his project. During the battle, Spider-Man trips over one of the massive spider mechs that he has built. "How are you settling in, Miss Lopez?" he asks as he taps on the cockpit window. Estella continues to try and work the controls as the mech swings about, crushing more members of AIM. "Are you crazy? I'm a scientist. I've never even fired a gun in my life. I don't even have a driver's license," she screams as she works the controls. Otto shakes his head at her. Now, I've heard about your generation's workplace entitlement. There's no place for that here. Try pressing the thumb triggers," he suggests before leaping away. "And don't worry about hitting our men. I've set your weapons to stun, so fire at will," he calls out. So later, after stealing the equipment that they've needed, Otto is finally able to finish his miniature star, but it isn't stable, and he's forced to throw it into a protective shield before it explodes and destroys the city. Angry at his failure, he begins to destroy some of the equipment in a fit of rage. Damn it all the hell! I've run these calculations in every possible permutation. What am I missing?" he shouts. And that's when Estella has a brilliant idea and speaks up. "Have you tried using the inverse of the harmonic frequency to initiate core reactions?" she asks. Spider-Man pauses for a moment, his back to the woman, and suddenly he straightens. "Wait, I have it! What if I use the inverse of harmonic frequency to— Yes, of course, the answer is inversion!" he shouts. The Spiderlings standing next to Estella nod in agreement. "Genius, boss, you're the man!" They cheer. Estella is shocked by what she is hearing. "I literally just..." Otto heads to the board and begins to work out the math, congratulating himself for his genius idea, ignoring Estella, until finally he turns to the living brain. "Brain, call the tavern on the green. Book a table for two. Tomorrow, we begin a new slate of experiments, but tonight, we celebrate." Stella is shocked by this, happy to be celebrating her idea. But then Spider-Man reaches for his cell phone and calls Anna Maria. "Greetings, my darling. Put on your finest dress. I'm taking you out to celebrate. I did it!" Spider-Man then turns and walks out of the room, not even acknowledging Estella as the person who gave him the idea. So that night, the Otto Peter person is celebrating with Anna Maria, while Estella returns to the lab to begin her own experiment. What's the saying? Well-behaved women seldom make history? She says as she begins to get to work. Using the last of the tritanium, she works fast, creating her own miniature star, but as she continues to work, the energy becomes unstable and it drops from her hand. Her eyes widen as the energy begins to overtake her. "I'm sorry," she whispers. And back over at the tavern on the green, Peter and Anna Maria look out on the city, but the energy of the city begins to fluctuate. Peter looks to Anna Maria, telling her that he thinks that this is something to do with his fusion reactor project. "If it continues this way, it'll destroy all of Manhattan. I must do something." She nods in agreement. "If anyone can, it's you. Go, get Spider-Man, save the city." So Peter Otto rushes out of the restaurant, quickly changing back to Spider-Man, ordering his Spider-Bots to converge in the old atomic research center. When he finally arrives, his Spider-Bots report that the energy fluctuations have stabilized and they're reading one life form. Inside, Estella is staggering to her feet, her body now made of pure energy. "My skin's on fire! I'm burning! What's happening to me?" she declares, while Spider-Man swings into the chamber. "No more than you deserve, you treacherous lot! I'm so disappointed in you, girl. Obviously, you intended to steal my thunder by using this new approach before me." Spider-Man snaps, but Estella just becomes angry as the energy is coming off of her body. "I'm the one who solved the equation, and now this power is mine, not yours," she declares. Her energy begins to spike as anger fills her eyes. "Mine to do with as I wish, and what I wish for most is for you to burn!" She bellows as she fires a blast of energy at Spider-Man. He flips over it, allowing the blast to burn a hole in the wall. My God, the force of the blast! The heat is unbearable! He shouts out, and Estella fires more energy blasts at him, forcing him to continue to dodge, though she seems to have control of her power. Otto can only see this ending one way. "You are moments from exploding, Estella, and taking out 5 burrows with you," he says, firing web blasts at her, but she laughs as she burns them away. Spider-Man knows that it will distract her for a moment and crawls into a protective shield. "I have to reach the only place nearby that will keep me safe from the blast," he shouts, but Estella isn't done flying after him. "If I'm gonna die, Spider-Man, then the very least I can do is take you with me," she shouts. She goes inside of the shielded orb, but inside, she realizes that Spider-Man is merely a hologram projected by one of the Spider-Bots. The doors then slam shut on her, and Spider-Man seals it from the outside. "I'd come keep you company in there, but I have a pressing engagement elsewhere," Otto tells her over the comms. She begins to rage, blasting everything with her powerful energy, but it has no effect. Outside, Otto sits back and listens as she fights within. "Enjoy the containment pod," he says before standing and walking out of the lab. Later, Spider-Man has his Spiderlings seal the building, informing them that if the containment pod is ever breached, it would destroy the city. Back in the present, Otto smiles as he finishes his weapon, a weapon that will harness whatever power source is trapped inside of the spherical shield. "With you, I'll be able to incinerate any target, from an entire city to one Spider-Man," he says with an evil glee. Otto finally hooks his weapon up to the shield, and it suddenly begins to glow and the containment is breached. The sides begin to melt and a glowing arm pushes through. "At last!" Estella bellows as she burns her way out. "I'm free!" Otto begs for her not to kill him, and she shakes her head. "Kill you? I don't know you. I want Spider-Man!" she shouts before flying away. Inside of the lab, Otto looks up at the floors that she burned through with her pure energy and begins to laugh. "Well, that didn't go as planned. In fact, it went even better. Good luck, wall crawler." And that is how Superior Spider-Man returned. Now it's going to lead into a brand new series, so this story is to be continued.